Hello, writers! Welcome to another episode of Editor Unedited. I realized after recording part one on character development that I failed to talk about one of the best character sheets that are out there. I'll get to that in a minute. First, we need to do the obligatory book throw. That was a hardcover, so it was a little louder. And secondly, I'm going to apologize because my allergies are super bad, so I might have to itch the nose, sniffle, so sorry. It already happened. All right, so one of the best character sheets out there is, let me see if we can see this guy right here. See that? Dungeons and Dragons. So for those of you that don't know me or don't know me very well, in addition to being a writer, I am also a big gamer. Mostly video games, but I do enjoy some tabletop RPGs, which is what Dungeons and Dragons is, and some board games. For those unfamiliar with Dungeons and Dragons, it's been around for a while. I want to say since the 70s. It is a tabletop RPG or role-playing game, which means that a lot of what's going on is centered around your character and the characters you are playing with. So character creation is a huge part of this game, and that's what makes it such a great tool for writers in general. Now, I'm going to read off most of what's on the sheet because I don't think my camera picks it up too well, so bear with me. There are a lot of things on this sheet that are very game oriented, such as strength, dexterity, constitution, initiative, speed, hit points. You know, those are very, I'm trying to think of the right word, kind of selective, because unless you're writing a very specific kind of book or novel, you're probably not including stats for the characters. I mean, I've seen a lot of anime that does it, but that's a conversation for another time. But there are also things on here that would apply much more broadly, such as the character's race, their background, their features and traits, their proficiencies in languages, the skills. Now, the skills list here is very limited because this is specifically for the world and rule set of D&D, but it gives you kind of a jump off point and can inspire you on what other things to add there. So I like to use that section. Personality traits, ideals, bonds, flaws, those things I think can be useful for almost any character creation. Now, D&D being in a fantasy setting, these sheets will be the most useful for a fantasy setting for your book and your characters, but it can definitely help with other situations too. And I want to give an example of how some of these more game-oriented features of this sheet can be applied for just a book that has absolutely nothing to do with games. Let's use hit points as the example. So I'm giving a functional or practical example here. You have one character who is an average male, average height, average weight, average build, average strength. And then you have another character who is very burly, exercises on a regular basis, maybe fights on a regular basis. And you are thinking in terms of how much harder is it to defeat this larger man? And defeat could mean knock them out, have them surrender, kill them, whatever defeat is in your circumstance. So you set the burly man's hit points at 100, and you set the average man's hit points at 50. So you're saying that this large man is 2 times harder to defeat than the average man. That's probably not the best example I could give, but it is a way to use some of these more niche fields to help you flesh out characteristics of those characters. Maybe I can give you sorry, my nose is itchy. Maybe I can give you a better example, like the stats on the side. which are your core stats of strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You might be thinking, well, why the heck would I even bother with those stats? Well, because those stats have, I almost said real world application, they have application to your character and to your story. Strength is probably the most obvious one, right? How strong is that character? How much of a load can they carry? If they were to get in a fight, what kind of damage could they do? Dexterity as well. Maybe they're not very strong, but they're super dexterous. So they're fast and they can kind of slip in and out of combat easily. Maybe they're very good at sneaking. That's a big one. Constitution has to do with health and with the ability to withstand damage, withstand poison, diseases. You get the idea. So that can also be used, right? Like how well does your character recover? You know, whether it be from physical wounds, magical wounds, disease, poison, whatever. Intelligence, that's a pretty easy one too, right? How intelligent is your character? Are they the person that goes around asking questions all the time because they don't know what the heck's going on? Maybe they're a bit of a ditz. Or are they highly intelligent and critical and learned? And you can tie these things into other things in the sheet as well. So let's say the character is high in intelligence. Well, maybe they are very good with history then. You know, maybe they have a really good study on the history of their race, of other races, of their world, of the magic system in that world. Wisdom is a little bit trickier because of the way that it works within the D&D realm. But you can apply it just as the definition of wisdom. Is your character wise? Will they make wise choices? Will they be critical thinkers? And then the last one, charisma, is pretty easy as well. How charismatic is your character? Do they do well in conversations with others? Are they able to empathize with others? Are they relatable to others? Are they a good listener? Are they a smooth talker? So hopefully that was a little bit better of examples of how you can apply those types of fields to character creation for a book. And in addition to the sheet that I've shown you, there are also some other supplemental sheets that you can get, and I'll show you one of them right now. This is for a character that I have run in a D&D campaign, and it just gives you a little more of a jump-off point for the details of your character. So what you were seeing there, where the picture was where you can put your character's appearance. Doesn't have to be a picture, could just be notes. There was a character backstory section, allies and organizations, additional features and traits, and treasure. And at the top of it, age, height, weight, eyes, skin, hair. So, you know, your very basic physical traits. These sheets are available online for free. I will drop the link in the description box. You can either fill them out as PDFs on your computer, or you can print them out and fill them out, whichever you prefer. I think these are really helpful. Honestly, they can be really fun too. Sometimes I will just make new characters because it's enjoyable. And before I wrap it up, I'll show you something that can also be useful, but you may not want to invest in it if you're not going to play D&D, because these books are not really cheap. But here we go. This is the D&D Player's Handbook, 5th edition. Again, not really cheap. This was a $50 book. You can get cheaper versions of this online if you're willing to do the digital. This is definitely not necessary, but these books have a lot of cool information in them, even if you're not actually playing D&D, because they give you information on the various races, classes, spells, backgrounds, equipment, just all these various things that exist within the world of D&D that can apply to your world and your characters too. So, you know, if you have any interest in getting into D&D or you have a little extra money, this can be a really powerful tool for writers, especially fantasy writers, for sure. All right, that's all I got. D&D sheets and the book. Nice to have in your writer's toolkit. If you have any questions, you can put them in the comments below. Feedback is always appreciated as well. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down. And I will see you next time.